And we are joined now by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Mr. President, thanks for starting your morning with us. We're excited to have you.
Well, thank you very much, Clay. It's an honor. You have a great show.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, I know you're a longtime sports fan, so there's a lot of things I want to get into with you. But I want to start. You've been a big supporter of Tom Brady for a very long time. What were your thoughts when he decided to move to Tampa Bay, and what do you think he's going to be capable of down there? Will you be rooting for him?
Well, I think he's going to do a great job. You know, he's a winner. He knows how to win. That's a big thing. And he's just been a great quarterback with a great coach. It's a great combination, and a great owner in Bob Kraft, frankly. And he probably wanted a change. He wanted a change. And I think, you know, he had plenty of teams to go to, and he picked one with, from what I understand, a good offensive line and very good receivers. He looked at that closely. I think he probably had other choices where they had players. I think his biggest thing is he wants to win. And from what I know, and I know the ownership of the team, they'll do whatever they have to because they're fantastic people, the owners of the team that Tom's on now. And I think he's going to do well in Tampa Bay. I think he'll do well. I don't know why it would be a surprise, but perhaps it will be. But I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. I think he's going to do great.
We're talking to the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Mr. President, what do you hear about the NFL? I know there's been a lot of talk. You mentioned that you talked to several different owners, Bob Kraft in particular. How confident are you that come September 10th with the scheduled opener between the Texans and the Chiefs that the NFL will be underway and everybody out there who's an NFL fan will be able to watch?
Well, they want to open, and they want to open badly, and they've been working with government. I would say this, if they don't stand for the national anthem, I hope they don't open. But other than that, I'd love to see them open, and we're doing everything possible for getting them open. They can protest in other ways. They shouldn't protest our flag or our country. But,
Have you talked with owners about your hope that they're going to stand for the national anthem, the players?
They know my feelings very well. They've been expressed. I think it's been horrible for basketball. Look at the basketball ratings. They're down to very low numbers, very, very low numbers. People are angry about it. They don't realize that they have enough politics with guys like me. They don't need more as they're driving down, going up for the shot. You know, they don't need it. And there was a nastiness about the NBA, the way it was done, too. So I think that the NBA is in trouble. I think it's in big trouble, bigger trouble than they understand. And frankly, ice hockey, which is doing very well, they didn't do that. They respected the mores. They respected what they're supposed to be doing, and they're actually doing very well, as I understand it. I don't have much time to be watching this stuff, just so you understand. It's just what I'm reading and what I'm seeing. But ice hockey was with respect. I did not like what baseball did even a little bit. And again, you have to stand for your flag, and you have to respect your flag and your country. You're making millions of dollars a year to be playing a sport you'd be playing anyway. If you didn't they'd be playing it on the weekends. And they have to respect their country. And if they don't, frankly, if the NFL didn't open, I'd be very happy. If they don't stand for the flag and stand strongly, I would be very happy if they didn't open. Without that, and with that being said, I'd love to see them open.
We're talking to Donald Trump, the President of the United States. And President Trump, when you look at the NBA, and you just referenced the NBA and all of the political statements that they're making, it seems like every time you send a tweet, a executive, a coach, a player, somebody will come out and immediately fire back at you. But yet the NBA is taking billions of dollars from China. There are all sorts of human rights violations going on in China right now. And none of the players and none of the coaches will say a word about that. Does it feel hypocritical that they will rip the United States? They won't stand for the anthem. They'll rip you as the president, but they won't say a negative word about China at all?
Well, I haven't noticed them sending things back at me, but I will say that, I wouldn't be that surprised. Some are very nasty, very, very nasty, and frankly, very dumb. But I haven't noticed that. But I will say this, the way they catered to China, the way they bowed to China, it's a disgrace, frankly. And they make a lot more money here than they do from China. But we have a system that allows you to disrespect your system, and that's too bad for them. Too bad for them. They don't appreciate what they have here. But no, what they did with China and what China did to us with the with the China virus and the rest of the world, by the way. The whole rest of the world. They stopped it from going in and spreading in China, but they didn't stop it from spreading in the U.S. and in other parts of the world, including Europe, but other parts in the world, 188 countries. So I watched that whole thing with the general manager of the team. Was it Houston?
Yeah, Daryl Morey, the general manager, who said that he wanted to free Hong Kong. And speaking of Hong Kong, right now you've got, I see the front page of the Wall Street Journal, that China went in and arrested a ton of pro-democracy media members, including Jimmy Lai, I believe, who is one of the most active participants in all of the Hong Kong democracy movement. For people out there who aren't paying attention, why should Americans care about what China's doing in Hong Kong and maybe the threats to Taiwan as well?
Well, look, for years, Hong Kong was making a lot of money that we could have been making in the New York Stock Exchange and our great exchanges. We have the biggest exchanges. We have the great dollar, which I've made stronger, much stronger than it used to be. I hope people recognize that in the world of sports. Our country is in good shape, and we're coming back so strong. It's incredible when you look at the numbers that we're producing and putting up. We're coming back very strong, and we saved millions and millions of lives by closing down and restarting. But I will say that with Hong Kong, we gave tremendous incentives and cost us a fortune to keep Hong Kong viable and going. And now what we've done, I've ended everything. I've ended all of that. There is no incentive whatsoever. We're not sending money through incentives back to Hong Kong. We're going to make a lot more money because they're not going to be competitive. It won't be a competitive market. Can't be with the government running it. So they're going to have a different kind of a deal, and we're not participating from the standpoint of we're not spending billions of dollars on making life comfortable with them for freedom. And that was okay. We'd do that if they were free, but they're not free. It's a part when you look. Take a look at a map. It's attached to China, so it's a little bit tough from certain standpoints. But we will do very well by not having a good competitor. I guess it'll be a competitor, but on a much smaller scale.
I know you have a good relationship with Chairman Xi over in China, but you mentioned the China virus, the virus that is obviously swept around the nation. You mentioned Hong Kong and the challenge to democracy there. Do you feel a bit disappointed in your friend Chairman Xi and how he has responded with China, with the virus, and also with Hong Kong?
Well, I used to have a very good relationship with him. We made a trade deal. It was a great deal for us. Look, China's ripped off our country for 30 years like nobody's ever done anything like what they've done. And we had a bunch of people sitting in the office that I'm in now that allowed it to happen. We were losing $500 billion, $600 billion, not million, $1 billion a year in trade with China. The deficit was massive, probably averaged $200 or $300 billion over many years. We helped rebuild China. Look, if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't have China as you know it today. We gave so much money so stupidly how these people allowed it to happen. And I came in and I charged them 25% tariffs and even more than that. But I had a great relationship with President Xi. I like him, but I don't feel the same way now. Every once in a while you will say, and you've had it very well. And Clay, I understand. I know you indirectly. I know you, and you have your likes and dislikes very strongly. So do I. But I didn't like what took place. This is not trade. This is 1,000 times a trade deal. What happened with all of the death and all of the world. The world had a shutdown. It's a disgrace what happened. You look at some of these countries in Europe were just devastated. Look at what's going on in Africa with this horrible disease. So, I certainly feel differently. I had a very, very good relationship, and I haven't spoken to him in a long time. We have a much different relationship with China now than we did for years, where they ripped us off, and then I stopped that. They were having the worst year they had in 67 years because I charged them tariffs, and we were making a lot of money. I was giving a lot of money to farmers. They were targeting farmers. I gave $28 billion. That was the amount, and it came all out of China. And the farmers are doing great because of it. Otherwise, they would have been all out of business. But, I treated them as you would do it. but I still had a good relationship. But once the plague came in from China, I call it the plague. But once the plague came in from China, the relationship changed. No question about it. It would be hard to believe that it wouldn't change.
We're talking to the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Mr. President, much less serious in terms of the plague, although the virus is impacting many different parts of sports in America, including potentially college football. I know you're a big college football fan. You went to the LSU-Alabama game this past year, Joe Burrow against Tua Tagovailoa, great game. You went to the national title game where Clemson played against LSU. Why is it important for college football to be played, and what do you think you can do to help that happen?
Well, first of all, those people, the people in that sport, it's just like incredible people. And, like some of the coaches, like Nick Saban and Coach O. How about Coach O?
He's amazing.
He's central casting, right? You're doing a football movie, you got to pick him as your coach, right? And put him in the movie. And Lou Holtz is just a fantastic guy, a friend of mine. He's been a supporter from the beginning. And, just so many others. They're just great people. And they want to play football. And they know better than anyone else. The other thing is, and somebody was explaining, I had actually one of the great doctors. They said, these people are so powerful and so strong, and not lots of body fat, although you could take a couple of offensive linemen perhaps and dispute that, but not a lot of body fat, maybe none in some cases, and they're very healthy people. People don't realize it's a tiny percentage of people that get sick, and they're old. It just attacks old people, especially old people with bad heart, diabetes, or some kind of a physical problem, a weight problem. Isn't it wonderful that I'm of a perfect physical specimen? It's so great.
Yeah, you're 3% body fat, right?
That's right. I was 0%. Didn't I have 0%? Somebody said I had 0% body fat. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
But this attacks older people very viciously, by the way. It can be if it's the wrong person. But, these football players are very young, strong people. And physically, they're physically in extraordinary shape. So they're not going to have a problem. You're not going to see people, could it happen? But I doubt it. You're not going to see people dying. And many people get it, and they have, like kids, they get it. They have the sniffles. Young kids, almost none have a serious problem with it. Literally, you look, I think they said the state of California, almost nobody that's young had zero, had a problem with, meaning a serious problem with this disease. They get better very quickly if they get it at all. So I think football's making a tragic mistake. And, it's interesting. When it opens, when I went to that game, it was incredible. I went to a couple of them, and I never really did the big-time college football. I went to an Ivy League school. It wasn't quite the same. But when I went to Alabama and I went to LSU, and, these stadiums are massive. You have no idea about that. It's much bigger crowds in the NFL. In the NFL, you'll have 60. And here we had, I think, 115,000 people. And you go to see these games, and it's brilliant football. It's great football. It's the atmosphere. There's nothing like it. And you can't have empty seats. If I had 5 empty seats, for instance, they said when I do a rally, sir, the reason I won't do them because you can't have 1 seat and then 7 around that seat, sir, have to be empty. Oh, that'll look great. You have one person and everything's empty around them. You can't do that. And I'm not sure that college football can do it, but we'll have to see. Some sports I see. I think golf has not been hurt visually in fact, I think golf looks more beautiful if you want to know the truth. Instead of a lot of people, the cheering's good, and certainly I guess the income is good and all, but golf works. What works is UFC works very well. UFC, I watched that the other night, and they light up the stage, they light up the cage, and it's really bright. They darken the arena, maybe put a little silk around it, who knows, but that works. And other sports don't work. Basketball's not working. I think basketball's not working because of the way they treated our flag and our anthem, if you want to know the truth. But it doesn't seem to have anything. I looked at it, and I couldn't watch it. And baseball, I haven't made a ruling on that yet in terms of my own. I haven't had much of a chance to watch it. But some sports are working okay, and some sports aren't. But I thought golf looked really good for the PGA. I didn't miss the fans, and I think that probably UFC was a very good one. I am not impressed. Somebody told me hockey works okay, and but those sports are meant more for fans. I really believe that. I think they're meant more for fans. I think basketball is going to need its fans back. From what I'm seeing, it looks very dull.
I know you're ready for the economy to be back rolling, and sports are a big part of that, and schools opening are also a big part of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about both, but I also wonder, do you ever think to yourself, I should play a trick on the media and say the exact opposite of what I actually believe so they'll support it?
So
because
funny.
it seems like every time you come out, like you say schools should open, and the media immediately says, oh, schools can't open. But if you had said, hey, we can't open schools, I feel like the media would have said, oh, we got to open schools. The president's crazy. You ever think about using that and playing a mind trick on them?
Because I talk about it all the time. Nobody else does. I say, look, I could have had the wall built very easy. We're building a wall, but it was getting it like was pulling teeth. And the Democrats opposed, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you watch that, and now it's being built. We're up to 277 miles. It'll be done by the end of the year, a little bit after the end of the year. It's incredible the impact it's had. Anyway, if I would have said, I don't want a wall, they would have given it to immediately. This hydroxychloroquine, a lot of doctors swear by it. By my saying it's good. I took it for 2 weeks. There was a little outbreak around Washington, and I said, let me have something. And I took it for 2 weeks, and it was fine. It was great. I didn't have it. I didn't get it. And I had no problem whatsoever with it. It's been around for a long time. It's a malaria pill, actually, and lupus, and it causes no problem. But as soon as I came out with it, they said, oh, it doesn't work. And they went crazy. They still are on Twitter. It's number one all the time, which is phony. It's number one all the time in trending hydroxy, negative hydroxy stuff. If I would have said, I don't believe in hydroxychloroquine, it's terrible, with zinc and with, the Z-Pack, zithromycin. If I would have said, I don't believe in it, it doesn't work, it would be the hottest thing going right now. No, I say it all the time. We could say it about a lot of different things. Even religion. I held a Bible in front of a church that the agitators and anarchists, they call them protesters, they tried to burn down a church. And I held the Bible up in front of the church, and they said it was a terrible thing I did. So I said, I even affect religion negatively, okay? I hold a Bible in front of a church that they tried to burn down the day before, and they say, isn't he a terrible human being? And I said, I've affected religion, hydroxy, and just about anything else. Maybe even your show after today. That'll be the end. You've got these great ratings going, I see, Clay, and you have a hell of a show. Maybe I will have destroyed your show, but the end result? Our country now is so strong. Our military has been rebuilt. Our taxes have been cut way back, and regulations, and what I've done for the vets, nobody's ever done. Nobody's ever even come close to doing. And, so many other things. We've done more than anybody, including even Space Force, right? Force. So we've done a lot, but we have to fight hard. Probably I have to fight harder than a lot of other people.
Last question for you, because I know you got a ton of things to go. There's talk that Joe Biden's going to announce his vice president either today or tomorrow. It seems like it's dragged on for some time. Who do you think he's going to pick? Who should he pick? I know you like playing the political game. You weren't a politician for a long time. If you were sitting back on your couch watching television and following this election, what do you think he's going to do? What do you think he should do?
Well, I think that I would be inclined to go a different route than what he's done, doing it the way he roped himself into, a certain group of people, which
he said
is
he
fine.
had to pick a woman.
He said that, and, some people would say that men are insulted by that, and some people would say it's fine. I don't know. I will say this. People don't vote for the vice. This is history. This isn't necessarily me. This is history because we have a great vice president. Mike Pence has been incredible, actually. He's been a great vice president and done a really, really good job in everything I've given him. But people don't vote for the vice president. They really don't. They don't vote for the vice president. Like you can pick George Washington to be your vice president. Let's pick up Abraham Lincoln coming back from the dead. They just don't seem to vote for the vice president. Now, in this case, because Joe's got some things going on. Let's not kid ourselves, unless I don't know where your politics are, but Joe's got some pretty big things going on. So, this is going to be a very, very important pick, and it'll be interesting to see who he chooses. I'm interested to see also. In the end, I don't think it's going to matter. Joe's going to have to stand on his own 2 feet, and we're doing very well. Our poll numbers have really come up. We we were unbeatable, and then we got hit by the China plague, by the China virus, and obviously we got hit hard. And that affects a politician. Look all over the world. When you get hit, it affects a politician. So we fought, and we've done a really good job with that and every other thing. And now the economy's come back so strong, and my poll numbers are good. They're getting very good. I think they're going to go even much higher. People appreciate what we're doing. So I don't know who he's going to pick. In theory, it doesn't matter much, but maybe with him it probably matters much more than it normally does for the obvious reason.
I know I said last question, I'm going to hit you with a sports question on your way out. The number one debate among sports fans for the last 10 years probably has been who is better as a basketball player, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Which
Michael
do you
Jordan.
think, no doubt in your mind?
Well, I've seen them both. Michael Jordan is. Plus, he wasn't political, so people like him better.
That is a perfect answer. Donald Trump, President Trump, I appreciate you coming on. You're welcome to come on anytime to talk sports with us. Thank you for the time this morning, sir, and good luck the rest of your term and maybe a next one, too.
Thank you very much. Great. Thank you.
That is